This is one of the best tracks anywhere in the world, and I think everyone's excited to show what these F50s can do.
Yeah, it's perfect conditions. Here we see, New Zealand, surely the team to beat. They've been on fire for the last 4 events. What are they going to do here?
Here we go, 1 minute away as they get themselves into the start box position. 9 teams out racing with the USA unable to go this weekend. That's going to hurt their points chances. Meanwhile, at the other end of the table, New Zealand now on top on the overall standings, 68 points. Australia, the 3-time reigning champions, sitting in second with 59.
Always so much to be learnt in the first race of the day in the new venue here as we see the start line, red line across the bottom of our screen. That blue triangle in the middle, that's effectively our pole position. That's the perfect place to start. However, we know that so often it's about hitting the line at full speed. That's the absolute key to getting this right. Late into the box, right-hand side of our screen. Great Britain and Rockwool Denmark already up and foiling. Top of the line, New Zealand are already in. France looking for a late run at thing with 15 seconds to go. Favoured pole position at the moment is this star at the top of the mast here, suggests the best place to stay on Canada. Australia now show us the best, middle of the line, big gap for Australia. How's your timing, Tom Slingsby, in the middle there? Perfect start for the Australians. That's absolute magic from Tom Slingsby. Disaster in New Zealand, but back with a bang here in Bermuda.
Just here in 2, 1, up on.
And as they approach mark number 1, it is the Aussies and the French out in front. We've got 7 legs here on race number 1 here at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
Tactical control with Slingsby on board the Australian boat there, and he used it well, gave the French a little nudge. He leads Delapierre around mark 1. It's tight in the pack though. New Zealand somewhere near the back. Rockwool Denmark, they are all chasing the Aussies as they're already setting up. Looking at mark 2, Tash Bryant in the back there. She's got to head out the boat. Strategist, got to be looking around, finding the opportunities. Just entering the boundary on board France. Suddenly the right of way turns to the French. Australia have got to keep clear. They manoeuvre fast in front there. Both boats should be well lined up for gate 2. Perfect manoeuvres by those 2 boats. And it's just about execution of boat speed from here.
Look at these speeds, easily in the 60 kilometers an hour.
Yep, here we've got France, fastest boat on the water at the moment, 69 kilometers an hour, but the Australians are hot on their heels. Now, for those of you in the US, miles per hour, 44 miles per hour.
So it's Australia out in front, France and Canada, the top 3. And let's not forget, Stevie, Canada unable to practice yesterday as they were doing some testing for the T-foils. That comes up next season.
Yeah, they were out early today, though, the Canadians. They've put an aggressive move back here. Switzerland have got to keep clear. Tight manoeuvre for the Swiss. Can he keep out the way? Right of way now with Canada. Switzerland needs to keep clear. It's going to be tricky for Switzerland from here. First round, Australia. Second, France. And then to split the course, it's Canada. Great opportunity now, Todd, to learn a bit about the course. Was it good to do the left turn as the Australians have, or good for the Canadians doing the right?
Well, the Canadians certainly made life difficult for Switzerland as they pick up a penalty. Nathan Outridge now almost comes to a dead stop, and now they're a complete roadblock as Emirates, GBR, and Denmark try to work around them.
It was always hard where the Swiss had to manoeuvre right in front of the Canadians. Phil Robertson, aggressive move, beautifully executed by that Canadian team. And yeah, the Swiss are out the back door here. As soon as you're off the foils, it's going to be very painful today.
Ready for attack. Stand by. Ball down in 3.
And here we've got the wind speed across the course, so it's fairly even. The Australians on the top of the screen, 26 kilometers an hour. Canadians at the bottom, a little bit less. We did see them with similar numbers before, but clearly going into a lull now towards the center of the course.
Throwing a lot of numbers at you here. This is race number 1, leg 3 of 7, and France has now come off the foils.
Oh, Todd, another unforced error. You just can't afford that in these conditions. It's flat water, it's easy foiling. These are silly mistakes from the crews early on in the day here. We'd not expect that, and that's going to cool them a lot of problems. Really, they've lost a lot of distance. Canada already through the fleet, and we can see at the top of their mast there, look, Canada 100%, Australia 100%, but France 91%. Foiling efficiency, they fell off the foils, they've been punished.
We just saw a message there from race management saying that GBR went outside of the boundary, so penalty there for them.
And this is a large course, Stevie. We've had much tighter courses throughout Season 4, but this one, plenty of room to stretch your legs.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting course. It's a real tactical course. The wind's a little bit shifty. It changes direction. What does that mean? Well, if it changes direction in your favour, you've got the opportunity to minimise the distance. And I think this is a real day for the strategists to have their head out the boat. We saw them not having their head out the boat enough in New Zealand. We had some crashes, collisions, but now can they spot the tactical opportunities on the water?
And we've seen a lot more of the team's playbooks changing a little bit to accommodate that. So keep an eye out for that strategist at the back of the boat and how they position themselves on board. We've seen a lot of the time strategists now going to leeward a lot more, sitting on the other side of the wing to keep an eye out for other boats.
Speaking of stretching their legs, the Australians way out in front by 200 meters as they approach gate number 3. We check it down on the water, and the Australian, Lisa Darman. And Lisa, how have the conditions changed, or have they changed since we started this first race?
The conditions are pretty similar. Obviously, the wind is up. It's not moving too much in terms of the amount of pressure, but it is slightly shifty. So the Australians, they had a really good angle. So they essentially, I think, sailed less distance on that one. That's why they were able to gain on the Canadians. So, yeah, all over there are some light patches where people are getting stuck up, but really it's boat handling that's pushing them off the foils.
And Stevie, you always talk about what do you want to do, better angle, or do you want to make more maneuvers? And right now it seems like the Australians have found the perfect formula.
Yeah, there's a compromise to be had all the time. There's a chance to get yourself in a more favourable bit of wind, but if you have to manoeuvre to do that, you know you're going to lose distance. So you've got to see that the gain I'm going to make by going for that bit more wind or going for that more efficient angle to sail is going to make up for the 60 metres I'll lose when I manoeuvre. So the teams are always playing a compromise. I think there we saw that Australia's tactics were really good and the French only lost out because of that poor manoeuvre. So control what you can control. You should be able to do good manoeuvres. Let's be accurate with those manoeuvres.
And here is exactly what you've just said, but in number form. So the Australians sailed the shortest amount of distance compared to the Canadians and French, and that's how they've stretched away. So had their eyes out the boat, spotting the correct shifts, and because of that, they're able to sail less distance.
Almost all the teams now of the 9 that are out on the water. The Americans, of course, not sailing today. The 9 are all on to leg number 4 of 7, but Australia way out in front. Then it's Canada, France, New Zealand. Remember, it's 10 points for a win, all the way down to 1 point for last place, but everyone's trying to accumulate enough points that they make it into the top 3 and the event final coming up tomorrow.
Doesn't seem too mentally jaded by what happened at the last event in New Zealand, Tom Slingsby, does he? Absolutely clinical for the Australians. You know, they've been here, they've sailed here a lot before. They are the ultimate champions of SailGP, 3 times overall season champions, and just absolute perfection so far from these Aussies.
And Stevie, I want to stay with Australia because a lot of us, we were talking about Tom Slingsby. How would he react to having those points deducted? When you saw that incident, was there room for him to do anything else? Of course, he was trying to stay away and not run into the Canadians and Phil Robertson, but was there room, in hindsight, what could he have done differently?
Hindsight's very easy, isn't it? I think he could have maybe seen the situation coming a fraction earlier. I think it probably jumped up on him once he started reacting. I think maybe his only decision was that, but I would have thought, in hindsight, he could look back and say, I could have seen that earlier. But the most important thing, he will have analysed it. He will have hopefully put it to bed in his head. We know how much Tom likes to kind of carry these things, but clearly right now we see middle of our screen working their way back into the wind, nearly, 300 metres ahead of the next boat. He's clearly put those gremlins away from him right now, and that Australian boat's sailing well. But don't underestimate the team around him. He's got a very strong team. People like Carl Langford, Kinley Fowler, Tash Bryan at the back. They'll have all had a word with him. Don't worry, Tom. Let's just get the ship moving forward again.
And we also know just how skilled all of those sailors are. Looking at the data from yesterday in the practice racing, one of the things that we noticed was that their platform is the most stable. They're foiling almost the highest, but they're moving so minimal in that range, and that's all down to Jason Waterhouse.
Leg 5 of 7. This is race number 1 of 3 here. The first day of racing at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix. If you're just joining us, the U.S. team capsized yesterday, damaged their wing. They can't race. The Australians coming off an 8-point season point deduction, which bumped them from 1st into 2nd place behind this team, the Black Foils of New Zealand. Lisa Darmanin, you're Australian. You've been around that team a lot there on site. How confident are the Aussies with this boat? Because they had to do so much work on it. The electronics, the hydraulics, everything else. It looks like it's sailing pretty nice.
I mean, I think the Australians, they really haven't let it phase them. Obviously, they've turned up, they've got a new beam, and they had one day sort of practicing, just checking that, you know, everything was working properly. But these are really their conditions, especially if they get round Mark 1 first. They are just so happy. That team is so in tune from the back of the boat to the front of the boat, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. They're in front, but they're not playing it safe. They're just pushing and extending their lead. So this team, this is where they really came together back in 2017, and with the addition of Jason and Tash. But I think they're just having a great time sailing here, to be honest. It looks fantastic. I'm a little jealous.
It does look perfect. I think what's noticeable, they all look so comfortable. The whole Australian team, they're all sat a little bit lower in the boat most of the time. I think that's a consequence of the water being flatter here, the wind being quite steady. The Aussies are really looking at the low windage setup, but we see Canada second place. New Zealand, they have the right of way here. They've closed the gap on the French, potentially past the French here, moved by the black foils up through the fleet. Canada probably are going to have to do one more manoeuvre to get round unless they can just squeeze it up to that right turn in a few moments' time. New Zealand look good though. They're going to split left. Canada are going to look to turn right. Another chance for a gain here by the black foils. They're on the charge.
5, 3, 2, 1, turning now.
And the voice of Phil Robertson as the Canadians split the course as the Kiwis go left, the Canadians go right. It looks like Content de la Pierre and the French will follow the black foils around that left side of the next gate. So Australia way out in front. Then you've got New Zealand, Canada, and France, and Germany now appearing in the top 5. Everyone battling for a 10 points. That's for the win. And Stevie minimizing these deficits, trying to stay in that top 4 or 5. You can have one bad race in this thing, but you cannot have 2.
Yeah, I mean, pressure already on Great Britain. They're out the back in this race, and as we line up here, Australia down the road on the top right-hand side of our screen. They're looking well set up, but an interesting tactical situation with New Zealand and Canada that will play out over the next minute or so. New Zealand will have to do more manoeuvres, but last manoeuvre here for Slingsby should be one more move and then left turn at the bottom to the finish. Here we go. Canada, the top left of our screen. They have the right of way over New Zealand, but can the Kiwis get down to the gate with no more turns? How are they going to deal with Phil Robertson? Advantage Robertson at the moment, but expect a late move from Pete Burling as he charges at them.
So the Australians make the turn around the last gate, and it'll be a straight shot to the finish line. And race number 1 here, day 1 of the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix, will go the way of the Aussies. Tom Slingsby with a beautiful rebound here in Bermuda to take the win.
Perfect work by them. Look at that. What a finish. Here we go. Advantage Canada now. New Zealand must keep clear. He ducks away behind him. Canada ahead of them again now, but as they approach that final mark, it could be 2 more moves for New Zealand, but they'll have the right of way as they come in at the bottom. It's going to be so tight here as we come down. Canada are fast. France are fast. New Zealand on the inside, I think, will have to do 2 more manoeuvres to get around the mark, but they do have the right of way. Can Burling and this New Zealand crew keep the boat fast enough? He must turn on the yellow circle. Canada is going to be fast.
So the Kiwis have to deal not only with Robertson and the Canadians, but also France and De La Pierre. It's Content De La Pierre. He spins it to the inside. Look how close they are.
Canada have got the advantage here. New Zealand must keep clear. Robertson just needs to stay fast. He slingshots around the outside. Brilliant by Robertson. And that set itself up a long way out, but it's going to be Canada bringing it home second. The black foils up to third. And the French, well, good first race, but they'll be disappointed to drop back to 4th.
A masterful job by Phil Robertson and his Canadians as they put the slingshot effect in as they get around New Zealand to claim that 2nd place finish and the points that go with it. New Zealand settles for 3rd, France will come in 4th, and Germany, again, a top 5.
Well, that's brilliant by the Germans, and this is a big move here, Todd. Denmark were last early on in the race here. They've sailed a very good final upwind, and they've got themselves back to 6th. That will be a counting result here. That could be a big, big result for Rockwool Denmark.
A counting result, but I think they're still going to be disappointed, especially after Christchurch and the penalty points. They really need a good performance here to solidify a position in the top 3.
Nikolai Sehested brings home the Rockwool Denmark squad, and look at Emirates GBR. They are coming on fast. All this is the battle for 8th and 9th place. Nathan Outridge and the Swiss, they are almost dead in the water. Both holes now up. They're trying to get sailing again, and it looks like Giles Scott, he might work a little magic here on the final leg.
Oh, I can't believe the Swiss took that long to get back on the foils. That's surprising. There's such good wind here. Look, they've just flown a bit too high. Struggling a little bit on the Swiss boat right now. That was a big loss. Every point counts. And they lost a lot of distance there, the Swiss. I'm surprised how long it took to get back on the foils. Well, here we go, 22 seconds to go, and up and foiling, it's Tom Slingsby and his Australian crew. To the right of screen, it's Sir Ben Ainslie. That's been the place to start all day, towards the right of the screen. Slingsby currently pushing the French team out. There's no way the French can come in. Big gap between the Australians here. 6 seconds to go. Who's timed it right? Slingsby turns the boat down at over 87 kilometres an hour. Clear start there, Slingsby. Wow, timing incredible by the Australians. And now it's a drag race. Fastest position here is to the Australians, but can Ainslie get in the way? Australia must keep clear, and it's now over 90 kilometres an hour. We drag towards mark number 1. Slingsby against Ainslie. This is a battle of strength, and on the inside, Ainslie has control. What a shot that is there. We see the Australian crew driving down over the top of Sir Ben Ainslie, just in the lead at mark number 1. It's Australia, but Ainslie clinging on at 88 kilometres an hour. He's in the dirty wing wash of the Australians. Looks like we've got a protest here. Australia must keep clear. Australia must keep clear. Sounds like a protest. That will go to the umpires, and now it's going to be all about the boundary jibe. The French split away looking for space, and Ainslie sets up to jibe.
Simo jibes on board the boat. What an incredible job by the British there to stick in that really hard position in the wing wash of the Australians, and now they're doing the same bit back to them. They're putting their dirty air on the Australians, and the French are sailing clear and free.
When you've got someone blocking your wind like that, it's almost like having your fuel pipe squeezed. There's just not the same power getting to the Australian rig, and that's showing up at the speed there. 82 kilometres an hour for the British crew and just 78 for Australia, and we have a lead change there. Great Britain flying highest, 1 metre above the water. We'll look more at that later, but the higher you fly, the faster you go. And Luke Parkinson, the Wild West Australian, loves flying these boats on the limit, and right now the British boat's on the edge, but look at the speed they're getting from that.
Stand by. What are you thinking around the speed, please? Stand by. 4 times. He says stop.
Jibing there on board the French boat, and it's the British jibing at the same time. This will be a ley line for the gate here. Tom Slingsby jibes on the inside. Can he cut the corner on Ainslie? They look like they're good for the mark. Yes, gate number 2, total control to Sir Ben Ainslie. He'll love that the Australian crew is following him around this mark. Right turn, wide in, tight out. That's what we want to see round here. And now Slingsby's going to need to make something happen.
And just before they got to that leeward mark, the wind speed went up to 40 kilometres an hour, so 21 knots in old money. This is now getting pretty lively in terms of wind speed out there.
Stand by. Stand by. Yeah, go, Eddie.
Australia first to tack away there, and he's quickly covered by Sir Ben Ainslie. We wondered how this race would play out. Ainslie clearly seeing it very much like a one-on-one race with Australia at the moment, with Australia France some 160 metres behind. Expect to see this battle play out here. Slingsby needs to make the race move back to the middle of the course and then start throwing a lot of tacks in. Is that how you'd approach it, Fred?
Yeah, exactly that. Shut the race course down. I'm looking at the data coming off the boats as I did yesterday when these two are going toe to toe, and their setups are absolutely identical. It's a test of how the sailors sail this boat and how they manage it tactically around the race course.
This is fast becoming one of the big rivalries in sailing. Slingsby mentioned how he hated losing in Sydney. He was so good yesterday here in Bermuda, but right now Sir Ben Ainslie is in the lead, and they set up to tack here. It's going to come down to the crew's handling skills.
And this could be an opportunity for the French to get out of phase with these two boats. They're locked in 3rd place now. Do something different. Try and shake it up a bit. Try and get a gold or silver medal from Bermuda.
Hot rig. Push it over here. Hands clear.
And it's worth noting the points do not transfer from the previous 5 races. So this is the race for the win here at the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix presented by Hamilton Princess. Someone will be hoisting the trophy.
And there we go, Sir Ben Ainsley. He drove down over the top of the Australian and he's forced that mistake the Australians are making there. What a moment. That was Sir Ben Ainsley. So aggressive in that move there, Freddie.
Really aggressive by Ainsley. At the precise moment he put the wing wash onto him, Ian Jensen shut the twist of the wing down and put maximum dirty air onto the Australians.
Freddie, you just love the data you get from this Oracle cloud, don't you? Unbelievable. On board the boat, Freddie Carr, basically here. And we see now Ainsley's chosen this moment in the race to split. He must be confident that he sees more wind, because giving Tom Slingsby on the left of the screen there that much distance, that's a chance for the Australian to find different wind and a chance to get back in the race. High risk for me here from Ainsley.
So they've both got one tack to do to go into the windward gate, I believe. We're in a bit of that wind split here. Let's have a look at the wind speeds coming off the bow, and they're pretty similar. They have got 32 knots, 32 kilometres an hour for the Australians, and the same for the Brits. The pressure is even over the course.
Right here. Yep, can work it up. Are we looking on there for a cross? Yeah. Yeah, we're clear across. I think we're away. Yeah, high mode.
Gate number 3 here. Sounds like that. That was Ian Jensen there talking to Sir Ben Ainsley. I think we'll lay. That means I think we'll make this turning at gate number 3. If they do, that will have been a manoeuvre saved, and they're looking good on the Australians.
The Brits are a little bit slow in a high mode here. This could set them up for a massive manoeuvre if they choose to bear away. They're only doing 43 kilometres an hour versus 35, 65. A big bear away here for Parkinson. As the speed will rocket, they need to nail this bear away.
Big mistake from Ainsley there for me. Should have tacked on top of the Australians. That lead is halved by trying to sail the boat slowly into the mark there, and I see this as a huge opportunity for Tom Slingsby. He split the course and he had so much more speed. I'm stunned Ainsley let that happen.
The wind speed on board the British boat at the moment is 40 kilometres an hour, and it's 10 kilometres an hour less on board the Australians. Have the Brits picked up a lovely gust? Yes, they have. They've converted that into 84 kilometres an hour, and that is why the lead has jumped out over 100 metres.
Set up to drive here. One in down right at the moment. And have you up, guys? Right, ready? Want to keep it ripping. Yeah, it's got a big flat boat here. Straight.
Here we go, on starboard tack, it's Sir Ben Ainsley and the British crew. Tom Slingsby on port tack. Slingsby must avoid a collision if it's close, but it doesn't look close. I called it a mistake. Freddie Carr called it spotting more wind, and it looks like Ainsley has found more wind. I guess that's what you win for Olympic gold medals, Fred.
Exactly, much like the danger zone at the windward mark bearaway, we got the bottom gate here. We know that the crews have been struggling on these small 18-metre wings in over 40 kilometres an hour of breeze. Big roundups coming here where the wing trimmers have to be all over the throttle on the boat.
500 metres on this final downwind leg. There's over halfway through this race now, and it's all about picking a nice ley line there. It looked like a good shift for the British crew. My wheel, that's Sir Ben Ainsley. He has to pass over control of the boat to Ian Jensen to cross the boat. It's such a team effort here, and it's going to be tight as we come into the gate here. We're looking like Sir Ben Ainsley. He's clear ahead. Comfy lead for Ainsley. Will turn left. Splitting the course will be Tom Slingsby, and this sets up another opportunity. Any opportunity to split the course is good news for Slingsby, bad news for Ainsley. But Ainsley at the moment has been spotting good wind, and there does look like nice wind on the right-hand side as the Australians, whoa, pushing to the limit at the mark there, still 6 seconds behind, and this is going to go to the wire. This is the final upwind leg, just 1,900 metres to the top gate, just 1,900 metres for Tom Slingsby to redeem himself after disappointment in Sydney and get back into this race.
At these moments, we have to look at the wind speeds coming off the boat again as they're split on the course, 33 kilometres an hour of wind on both boats.
Good news for Ainsley for me there then, Freddie, because it's going to be starboard tack advantage with the British boat. 86 metres ahead, it's very, very tight. There's no room for error here in your boat handling, but at the moment, Ainsley in control, and he's stretching out. That number's jumping up. He has a nice angle there. He's sailing a shorter distance to the next mark than the Australians. A good wind shift means he's progressing up the course fastest at the moment, and that's all that matters right now. Ainsley will love that. Can the French and Billy Besson find something to get back past those Australians with just this final upwind leg to complete?
So over 200 meters is the lead for Great Britain. Remember, Sir Ben Ainsley came into this event. He finished 7th twice in the first 2 races, and he has rebounded nicely here on the final day at the right time.
Todd, you're only as good as your last race, and there's never more true than that than in SailGP, where this final is winner takes all. Ainsley didn't look great yesterday, but my word, he was heard to be coming out of the lift in the hotel this morning, absolutely firing, and he's turning out on the water. Those ladder lines on the course show us how quickly the boats are progressing up the course, and at the moment, 150 metres ahead of the second place Australian, and with the French crew not even in the picture, just 600 metres and maybe 2 more tacks separates Sir Ben Ainsley from victory here in Bermuda.
All right, here guys, we're in there. Little headers coming, clinger.
The Brits are doing the simple thing here, keeping themselves in between their main competition, the Australians, and the next mark. I think back to the last time they were in this position, and Ian Jensen did the race-winning, potentially race-winning manoeuvre by shutting down the twist, deepening up the wing, and putting maximum dirty air on the Australians.
Well, he needs to do something now, Freddie Carr, because the Australians are closing things down. They're running out of time. We're in the last couple of minutes of this race, but it's going to once again come down to the crew work of these 2 teams. Anticipate a simultaneous tack at this boundary.
This is a Simo tack for the regatta win. This is the maximum pressure tack of the weekend. Here we go.
Great tack there from Ainsley, great tack there from Spittle. It all depends on the ley line. It's now a chance to shut it down. Slingsby is going nowhere, but at the moment, as we approach the last mark, it's Sir Ben Ainsley shutting the race down. Brilliant tactical racing there from Sir Ben Ainsley, and now it's the sprint to the finish. Here we are in Bermuda, we're back. The racing has never been tighter, and from nowhere, Sir Ben Ainsley, 4 times Olympic gold medalist, Ian Jensen Olympic gold medalist, Luke Parkinson round the world yachtsman. There's Matt Gottrell Olympic gold medal. No, sorry, it's Neil Hunter on the bow there with Richard Mason pumping hard on that grinding pedestal, and they are going to be the winners here in Bermuda of SailGP Bermuda. What a comeback from Ainsley, and how much is that going to hurt Slingsby?
Nice, buddy. Frank, come back. Yes. Good job, man. Well done, lady. There we go. Okay, well sailed, mate. Well done, big man. Ready for Bellway? In what?
Coming through in third. Sorry there, Todd.
So as Great Britain celebrates, Australia grabs second, the runner-up position, and Billy Besson. Guys, you've got to think it's a win for France just making it into this podium race, but you know they wanted much more. The story of the day, Sir Ben Ainsley did not have a great first day, as you pointed out, Stevie, but he came back and at the right time turned it on. His crew answered the call. Remember, it's 10 points for a win, 1 point for last place. So all eyes are going to be on those 3 separate teams, Canada, Spain, and of course, New Zealand. All teams now in the start box. We are just 1 minute away from the final race. So positioning is key, and I've got to wonder if France and Quentin Delapierre are going to abandon that last second charge up the middle, because that could have been a serious problem.
Yeah, I mean, he was just looked like he was trying a little bit too hard there. He had a difficult day yesterday. They just got themselves back into the overall standings in Christchurch, and then they had a hard day yesterday, and he's tried to force it a bit for me, I think, on that one. He's out the back now.
Yep.
He's going to be coming at a late run at it, but let's hope he doesn't go for the middle of the pack. Bottom of screen, Canada well positioned. New Zealand a slightly better position than they were in other races. The Swiss again foiling. So, well-positioned Canada right now. Switzerland, oh, it's a little bit loose on board the Swiss boat. Oh, it's more than a little bit loose. It's really loose on board that Swiss boat. They're going to put a bit of a roadblock in the middle of the line. That's great news for New Zealand. New Zealand, Canada, Australia are predicted to be the pole sitters at the moment, but here come France, left-hand side of your screen. How's your timing at the top here? There's going to be no room for the French. Spain are shutting them out. It's going to be a good start for Australia, and it's going to be a good start for Denmark. New Zealand are on the front row, and it's now a boat speed race. All 5 of them are well positioned, and Canada out the back. Disaster for the Canadians. Denmark, Spain, and New Zealand, it's a sprint.
The Great Dane, Nikolai Sehested, when the pressure's on, he delivers. Here we go. Fleet race number 5, and at Mark 1, it will be the Danes and the Spanish with New Zealand in the mix.
Spain just did enough to get over the top there. Tactical positioning by Denmark meant they hold on to second, and New Zealand their third. Well, this is the first look at the front of the fleet for those 3 boats. Spain are away. Can they make things stick? But the big story here is going to be Canada. They're way out the back. Look, they're only just rounding Mark 1 at this stage. Australia are in the pack as well. The sprint down to Mark 1, the tactical positioning in these next minutes are going to be crucial. Here go New Zealand, first to manoeuvre, spin out behind Rockwool Denmark, well judged by Perling. Not a lot of distance there, and now it's a speed race down here. Who can find the best breeze? Who's well lined up for gate 2?
And it is close on that race to the final. Currently Denmark 38 points, Spain, Australia both on 37, and the Kiwis on 35. That could all change so quickly.
And New Zealand have done well there. That manoeuvre surprised the Danish. It was aggressive by Berling, perfectly judged, and the black foils, they're lined up well. If they can make it to gate 2 here, look how high they've got that black Kiwi boat flying out of the water. They're pressurising the Spanish. Spain have the advantage, but they'll all be wanting a simple left turn, is my guess from here. And New Zealand are back in it. It's really tight in the pack. Australia are about to gain the right of way. They'll be coming back towards Denmark and France with that right of way.
Are we clear on down?
Very crowded at gate number 2. Spain in control. Here comes New Zealand. Now they are up to second place, which would put them into the event final.
Disaster for Rockwool Denmark. The French have manoeuvred in front of them. New Zealand indecisive. That was rare moment by Berling. He ummed and ahed about that one. That's let Tom Slingsby split the fleet in 2 there. Rockwool Denmark are out the back. New Zealand have put themselves out. If he'd manoeuvred a little earlier on that New Zealand boat, he had the opportunity to cut across in front of Australia. How much are they going to regret that on board New Zealand? And more importantly, how much are Rockwool Denmark going to regret it? Because they've dropped right back in the pack. Great news for Slingsby in Australia. Great news for Spain. Bottini's gone. He's down the road. And it could be now a battle for that 3rd place in the final.
This is a shorter race than we had yesterday. It was 7 legs yesterday. Because of the wind, they've shortened it down to 5 legs. So this is going to go really quick. There you see the Australians. They currently sit in 3rd place. They've got a spot in the final if it stays like this. Spain out in front. Germany up to 2nd place, non-factors.
And that bottom gate caused havoc in this race to the final. So that shifts it around a little bit. Australia and Spain and Canada will currently go through to the final if this holds.
But look how tight it is coming across the screen here. So Spain and Germany have the right of way. New Zealand have wriggled themselves back into it. Australia, they're well positioned. Basically, all these boats are pretty much neck and neck at the moment. There's not a lot in it. And at the moment, the black foils are the fastest boat on the course. Spain are ahead. They've got the best chance for gains, but everyone absolutely tied together on a very, very short piece of string.
Gap to the leader is changing constantly. It's only a matter of meters.
That's because nothing's in it. At the moment, it looks like the wind's rotated a little bit left. We can see New Zealand and Australia, they're progressing up our ladder lines very quickly, but they're going to need the wind to shift. If they can get a shift, it will be good news for New Zealand. If the wind stays as it is, it should be fine for Spain, but the black foils, wow, Berling, when the pressure's on, you think he's made a mistake, and they seem to have a turbo button.
So New Zealand, as it stands right now, they are in 1st place. They would make it into the final with their good friends, the Australians, and Spain would join them. Canada's still in the mix, so don't count out Phil Robertson just yet.
Todd, I don't believe it. The New Zealand crew have just absolutely powered past Australia. They have the right of way against Spain. The black foils could be winning this at the next gate.
Coming off a 6th place in the last race, it looks like they were left on the side of the road for dead, and here they are in the lead on this shorter race. Just 5 legs here in fleet race number 5.
Are you kidding me? Now look at it, the wind is shifted to the right. They're sailing nearly up the course here. It's like watching Neo from the Matrix read the breeze out there at the moment. He's just seeing it in digital form on board that Black Foils boat.
And there you've got the points as it currently stands. Australia on 40, Kiwis on 37, Spain and Canada tied on 35, but with Spain ahead of Canada, that means they win that tiebreak and would go through to the final.
Well, these last 2 legs are going to be exciting. Everyone trying to get in a top 3 position, and then we will have the event final for you. Only the top 3 teams battling out for 10, 9, and 8 points respectively in the overall season.
Here we go, big moment as we come into the top of the course here. I think for New Zealand fans, maybe you can take a little bit of a breath and relax a bit, because they look well lined up. They're sailing parallel to this yellow ley line. Should mean they've got a good chance of making the top gate with no more manoeuvres, but the wind is still rotated to the right. The shorter distance to sail is going to be the Spanish boat, so they're going to be back in the mix here. Canada struggling. Denmark, well, Denmark, when the pressure's on, they nailed a perfect start, and now they cannot make it stick.
A lot of chatter out on the course. Everyone wondering where the wind is going. Where will it be on these final 2 legs? Let's check in with Lisa Darman and down on the water. Lisa, what are you seeing? Where's the favorable side?
Well, currently, I do think that there is more pressure on the right-hand side, and if they do come to this side, which is what has been working the other ones, then they get a really nice approach to that last turning mark, because I really think where the teams tactically position themselves on that last turning mark to the finish is really going to be the crux of this.
We'll see how it all plays out. Remember, it's a shortened course today from yesterday, just 5 legs as opposed to 7, so they'll make their way down to the bottom, and then it'll be a left-hand turn to the finish line. Everyone now scrapping for those last points to see who will be in the top 3.
Well, what an upwind leg there. I mean, that was one of the more dramatic SailGP upwind legs we've seen. Sehested out the back. That's disaster for Rotterdam, Denmark. Disaster for their season. Bottin here, 3rd position he shows out at the moment, but he needs to overtake the French if he's going to hope to make the final.
And it all depends what's happening in that pack at the back. The Canadians at the moment are neck and neck with the Brits and the Swiss. So if they can stay in that position, good news for them, bad news for Spain. But it wouldn't take much for it to flip-flop.
I think the important thing to remember here is with these points, if we see any tie breaks, it's whoever finishes ahead of whoever on the water in the last race. So that could be crucial here. It's not actually set in stone certain for New Zealand here, despite being out in the front, but they've got to continue to do everything they can.
Stevie, Canada had a disastrous start on this 5th race, but remember, they had a great day 1 where they finished in 2nd place twice and then came up with a 6th on the 3rd race, but a 2nd again on this last race has them with the points they need.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's all about consistency, isn't it? It's a 5-race series to get to the grand final. Of course, it changed a bit here. Tight cross, Australia, France. That could be important in the long term of this event. Comfortable for the French here. Left-hand side of our screens, Canada. They've pushing the course as wide as they can, but they're struggling to overtake boats. And I think they do still need a couple of places. The Black Foils, there's the yellow line. Suggests they should be able to make it to the next mark, the final mark, in fact, with no more turns after this. But it's the battle behind them that's going to make the difference.
And it's all eyes on Spain and Canada on opposite sides of the course right now. There you see on the right-hand side, it was Spain, Canada on the left-hand side, and Spain now, by virtue of moving to 2nd place, ahead of France, has got a spot in the final.
Yes, but they are tied on points with Canada. So if Canada ends up gaining that 1 more position, if they can get ahead of the Brits, which, it's just flicked there, if they can hold that, that would put them in the final.
Do we need to pass a boat here, or just stay in front of GBR?
How interesting is that? Hearing from the coach,
Doing the math.
Asking the coach on the shore, the technology in SailGP, unbelievable.
Here we go as they come to the finish line. Once again, pulling a rabbit out of the hat. It's the Kiwis as they come in, and they will get the win.
Spain have got to keep clear. They've got to keep clear of France there. That could, oh my word, they pushed that. That surely, they're going to get away. It's an overtake anyway. The penalty should be cleared, but Australia coming in fast. They're going to shoot round the Spanish. I think this is disaster for Spain.
Yep.
Another penalty. They've got to lose distance. It was a blatant foul, but it's cleared there. Now here comes the Australians. This is disaster. The Aussie's going to get all the way round to 2nd.
This will cost the Spain that position in the final.
They just tried to force it too much with France, and Tom Slingsby takes advantage. Outeridge on board the Swiss boat 6, but for the Spanish, my lord, that's painful. But in the background, Spain are losing points. I think
this is getting far too complicated.
It's Canada that has dropped back to 9th place now. So Switzerland comes across in 6th, winners of the last race. Emirates GBR may be doing Spain a solid, because Emirates GBR now in 7th with Sehested in 8th.
And with Canada making that error, that actually saves the Spanish, and that will see Australia, New Zealand, and the Spanish into the final.
Emily working overtime on the abacus. I mean, that thing was crazy. And for Canada, it started terribly, Stevie. In the middle of the pack, they worked their way up, and then that last leg just did them in. Coming up on a minute 15 to go. This is the second race as we kick off season 3 here in beautiful Bermuda. This is the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix presented by Hamilton Princess on a great day for sailing. Stevie was concerned that there might be not enough wind, but it looks like it's perfect right now, and everyone is finding enough breeze to go quickly.
Yeah, it's a perfect breeze out here. We can see the boats all quite close to the line, not too windy, but the start we know will be crucial.
There's 2 groups in this start for me. There's the New Zealand through to America group that are going to try and replicate the British start, and the other boats are off to the left-hand side of the screen, and Stevie, they're trying to do a timed run to the start line.
That's right, they want to come through up on the foils. They're going to look to come from a long way back with a lot of speed. We can see the pole position, right-hand side of our screen on the start line. That's the downwind end of the start line, but the top of the line as we look at it here. Now, who's got the timing right? Slingsby's really early on the foils with Australia, but at the moment it's Canada controlling the pole position at the moment. The Australians with a dramatic move at 16 seconds. He finds a way in there. He's found a hole. Now he's putting the pressure on the Danish crew. They must keep clear. Oh, there we go. Big noise from the Australian crew. They're all a little bit early here. Coming through the middle, it's Great Britain towards the bottom of the line again. Watch for the line to go right. It's tight. Great Britain's timing was brilliant again. Spain at the top of the line. Can the Spanish get the speed from up at this end of the line and blast down towards Mark 1? It looks good for Great Britain once again.
9 boats up and sailing here in race number 2, season 3 underway in Bermuda, and Great Britain once again out in front, Canada close behind. Amazed that Tom Slingsby was able to get that boat and find a spot.
As we just heard the voice of Ben Ainsley there, look for a jibe set at the mark. He's going to look to turn immediately here. We've seen the better wind is to the left-hand side of the screen as we look at it. Let's get ready. Okay, that's the voice of Phil Robertson saying the ley line's a little bit away. Great Britain set up to jibe. Early jibes, top of the screen. It's Australia and New Zealand, but look, New Zealand have fallen off the foils. Another mistake early in the race here. Barely foiling's Australia. They're going to need a bit of magic from here. They are in speed, still at 26 kilometres an hour is New Zealand, at 55 kilometres an hour Great Britain. They're bugging out on this first downwind leg.
Leg 2 of 7 here in race number 2 in Great Britain. Remember, race number 1 with Canada in second. It is a repeat, and once again, New Zealand finds themselves in a hole.
Ben Ainsley talking about the wind he can see. If these crews can find more wind, you're going to be able to sail faster. And look at the lead. Just 3 minutes into this race, it already could be a race-defining lead. Phil Robertson, Canadian crew, looking great position here as the Spanish. They're looking to find space on the other side of the course. Risky manoeuvre for Jordi Zamar and his Spanish crew, though.
That's exactly what Australia did in the first race, and that dropped them back considerably, as Tom Slingsby having a close cross with the Americans right there as Jimmy Spittle has to dip behind. So past gate number 2, everyone through cleanly. Nathan, what are you seeing down there? Have things changed much on the course from what we saw in race number 1?
All right.
Yeah, what you saw there was obviously the guys had to sail a little bit further after Mark 1 before making the ley line. Australia and New Zealand jibed early on the mark and thought it was going to work out well for them, and actually got all the bad wind from the boats from the first reach and took a while for them to get going. But, you know, super impressive with GBR once again, great start, and Canada sailing very well today. So it'll be interesting for me watching on the water to see if Australia can make their way back up into the top 5 in this race.
Yeah, never want to be fast yet.
Okay, so we got the British boat in the lead here. They have foiled 100% of the time. Their fly time when the boat is out of the water has been perfect in this race so far. That has given them a really nice average boat speed. In contrast, you can see New Zealand fell off the foil at that jibe and are 5 kilometres an hour slower on average than the British, and that is why they are last. You've got to keep the boat in the air and keep it ripping.
400 metres to go here. That's the voice of Ian Jensen. There's been a lot of chat about a left turn being the key move here. The advantage of being in front, of course, is you control your own destiny. If you're in the lead, you get to make all the decisions, and right now, Great Britain, they want 2 more tacks. They've got to be careful. 2 more tacks, and then they'll look to turn left.
See the heads on board, constantly looking around, looking for that puff of wind. Great Britain again with the lead. France in second now. Canada has dropped back to third.
Perfect tack on the ley line there by the British crew. That yellow line suggests where they're going to make the ley line, but the wind is changing direction. See, they're nearly sailing across the ladder lines at the moment, not really progressing towards the gate at the moment. Suggests the wind's turned to the right. Get ready to see what the British do now. We're listening to Britain as they try and get round gate 3. I think there could be another manoeuvre coming. That was a big sigh from Ainsley. Look at the speed drop as he tries to squeeze.
Yeah, 2, 1, down.
30 kilometres an hour, fallen off the foils. Maybe a mistake by the British crew here.
So Great Britain out in front as they make their maneuver. Now they're heading into traffic as Switzerland has to give away, and Denmark. Now France has moved into a very strong second place position, and Canada sits in third.
2, 1, turning it down. Watch your Kiwi, yep. Holding angle. Yeah, coming down. It does look lighter out this way now.
There we go, that's the voice of Ben Ainsley talking about the wind. I'm surprised they took that right-hand turn. It was slow, had been talking about wind, but look back in the pack here now. Australia, they're right in the fight here. It's tight in the pack at the moment. New Zealand, they're looking for space from last up to 7th place for New Zealand, and the Australians an unforced error penalty.
Penalty, this is the umpires, penalty Australia, relative New Zealand, not giving room at the mark.
Chief umpire Craig Mitchell doling out the penalty to Australia.
Got to wait for the New Zealand crew to be ahead of the Australian boat before that penalty will fall off. And looking at the ladder lines at the moment, they can't get rid of the penalty quickly. They need to make it happen or it's only going to get worse.
And way out in front, Great Britain trying to grow that lead. Remember, winners already of race number 1 with another race still to come today. It's Great Britain, Canada, Spain now into third. France has fallen back to 4th. Then Switzerland and Australia still with that penalty.
Big game from the Canadian crew. It was a bad choice by the British crew. Look, they're back in here, only 50 metres apart. Good jibe by the British. They're now back in control of things, but that was a mistake by the British, and Robertson's pounce tight as we come downwind.
It was very interesting that we had our tactical talk of Ainsley, and he said looks lighter this way, and he was right. It was lighter, and that's why the Canadians are back into them.
He's off the foils on the British boat. This is an opportunity for Canada. Can he go round the outside, stay on the foils? This could be a big moment for this fledgling Canadian crew. Ainsley's got to keep clear. He's got to keep clear, you hear? Got to keep clear.
Protest coming.
Go on, umpires. That's ridiculous.
Okay, I am watching the penalty flags. Phil Robertson protested Ben Ainsley 3 times. Let's see what the umpires have got to say about that.
All good, all good. Focus on us.
That's the voice of Chris Draper there, trying to calm Phil down. Phil, match race world champion, but he loves those aggressive situations.
Stand by. Pressure on the edge. Forward. 3:45, 2, 1, turning.
Canada, Spain, Great Britain, France, and Switzerland. No penalty assessed on Great Britain. as Canada now takes the lead with Spain in second. Great Britain, who had that sizable lead, moves back to third. Remember, this is like 5 of 7.
Well, this is a tough moment for the British crew now. They're in the turbulent wind of the boats ahead. It's going to make them slower. Canada, the fastest boat on the race course at the moment, as Australia still try and lose the penalty versus New Zealand. Surely that penalty will be clear soon, but back with Canada. What a moment for this new crew. Georgia Lewin there, tactician on the back. Phil Robertson in training's been calling her Speedy G. 49er FX European bronze medalist, but she's a Canadian and she's really doing a good job tactically.
That's a very fast boat now. Yeah, I'm super happy being fast.
That's the voices of Phil Robertson and Chris Draper talking to each other there, happy with how they're sailing.
And you could hear Phil Robertson saying, I'm super happy being fast. That's because he's in the lead and he is trying to use his boat speed, as we see the Canadians in shot there, and push over the top of the rest of the fleet and effectively shut down the racecourse options for everyone behind him.
Here we go, we've got the ride heights we can see on the screen here, and it's the French team really pushing that at the moment. Canada, though, sailing fast. Billy Gooderham, well, he's going to love being out in front.
So Canada has the lead, Spain in second. Remember, Phil Robertson, who's now skippering Canada, was on Spain last year until he was shown the door. So this will be interesting if these two get together, with Jordi Chamar now skippering for Spain. The USA has made a huge gain, coming from 7th all the way up to 3rd. What are they talking about, Stevie, when they're saying pressing?
Yeah. Well, we are listening to Canada all the way up here, and we can hear Chris Draper absolutely screaming at Phil Robertson to press. He wants him to push the boat and accelerate to give more power to the boat.
4, 3, 2, 1. Turning.
Having praised the Canadians after race 1 for how well they were gelling, it was very interesting to hear slightly Tony and fractious comms there between Phil Robertson and Draper. But hey, what does it matter? They're getting it done, and they've gone from second round the leeward gate and have now got a healthy lead at our last turning mark.
Happy angle. Spanish follow.
So you hear the conversations on board Canada, Spain moving to second, USA into third as they make their way around this gate, which is branded near in recognition of SailGP's new global partner.
It's a big moment here in New Zealand. Look to dive inside. Big losers on that upwind leg of Great Britain. They've gone from first and they're now back in 6th position. Disastrous upwind for the British. Falling off the foils, it's New Zealand. And wow, these are not some of the teams we expected at the back. Australia propping up the fleet at the moment.
Australia finishing 4th in race number 1, and right now they sit in 9th place behind Denmark and Switzerland.
Gonna take something pretty magic for the Australian crew from here.
Crazy how these things turn around, guys. I mean, you looked at Great Britain, Canada, the USA, dominant in race number 1, and now the Americans back to 4th, but it's Canada leading this race.
Have a look now, Todd. You see the speed of the Spanish. They fell off the foils. They lose speed. They're going to lose places. It's as simple as that. Look, the Spanish, this is a disaster. One mistake and it can all go wrong. And right now, so fast, it's the Great British crew. They look like they found more wind because they've got more speed. This could be the comeback moment for Ben Ainsley's British crew. He will be on starboard tack. You can see some 400 metres behind Canada, but Canada are gone. Jimmy Spittle in 4th. It's tight coming down to the finish.
That really is an example of how shifty this Bermuda racecourse was. That was the side of the first downwind where Ainsley lost his lead effectively. He's rolled the dice, gone back out there and gone from 7th, and he's climbing the leaderboard. Let's see where he gets to the last bottom gate.
Nathan, your thoughts as they finish up leg 6 of 7.
Yeah, that's all happening out on the racecourse right now. It's amazing when you get just a tiny bit in front how easy it is, but Ben Ainsley made a mistake at the bottom mark, and the fleet's, swallowed him up here. And, Lisa and I just keep watching the racing out here as they approach the top mark, and it's so different to last season. The fleet is so close and so compressed.
Our apologies for the delays in getting to and from Nathan Outteridge as we are bouncing this signal literally around the world. But right now, the only thing bouncing around Bermuda is Canada, as they have gone to a top speed of over 68 kilometers an hour. And Phil Robertson and the Canadians are on their way to picking up their very first win as we look at all the chaos behind them. France now in second, Great Britain in third, but here comes Jimmy Spithill in fourth.
It's a really slow manoeuvre by Great Britain. He's got to give room for Spithill here. There's going to be a protest. Wow, Spithill has to avoid a collision. Burling coming through. If he can stay on the foils, this could be a third from nowhere. Big error.
Umpires, penalty GBR relative USA, taking room to which they're not entitled.
I've got to say, on this occasion, I do agree with Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell there. He's going to have a huge penalty. He has to drop behind the US crew. This is a massive penalty.
But look at the loss for the Americans, though. As they come off the foils, they are dead in the water, and they're passed by not only New Zealand, but Spain and everyone else. They were in third.
Yeah, and what a moment for New Zealand. They were at the back of the pack early in the race. That's a huge comeback for Burling. He needs it. He really does need it. But Contant de la Pierre's French crew, fantastic performance from them. And this is going to hurt Ainsley and his British crew from first, and he's going to end up somewhere near 8th in this race.
So Canada gets the victory in race number 2, while the get-together with Great Britain and the USA was happening. Phil Robertson brings it across the line. France bounces back from 9th to 2nd in race 2.
Another consistent performance by the young Spanish crew there. Really mature performance, really, in that race.
Is it me or just, I know I keep repeating myself, but does one extra boat on this race course just feel like the chaos has doubled?
I think, and the standard getting higher, Freddie, as well. Here we go, it's tight at the finish, just diving in 8th. The British, they tried to do a complicated manoeuvre at the bottom, lost a lot of course. I think the standard's gone up, Fred, as well. These teams are just sailing the boats better. They're sailing, they're all closer, and that just makes it a lot harder.
Well, I think a lot of that's probably down to the shared data. Everyone can see how everyone else sails the boat, and there is absolutely no doubt a compression in the skill level across the fleet in Season 3.
It's going to be interesting here to see where the Spanish team set up. In that interview, Flo was really open with their plan going forward. He said, we don't want to be the most windward boat. So that's that left-hand side of the screen, that mark, they don't want to be there. So let's see where they do end up putting themselves.
Where you want to be and where you end up are supposedly two different things, especially when you've got the Aussies and the Kiwis going at it. And as Stevie pointed out, these are the top 3 teams on the overall standings, with New Zealand in first, Australia in second, and Spain currently in third.
Well, no good battle plan survives contact with the enemy at that first time. So here we go. New Zealand and Australia, they're tied together at the bottom. Spain are going to be the team with the run-up at things here. Right-hand side of our screen, that's the downwind end of the line. Most teams will want to be there. Most teams are going to be able to have a run-up. Spain and Australia and New Zealand up on the foils. Spain looking a little late on proceedings here. They got to pop up on the foils. There they go. They're going to wind it up at the top. Our pole predictor says they're perfectly placed at the moment. Rope-a-dope from the Spanish at the moment, as they are the most upwind boat. But can they get over the top of the black foils? Who can get it here? Pole predictor really showing the Spanish good. They make a late move down the line. How's your time in there, Botín? You look like you could have judged this just to perfect. Watch the line turn white. It's go here. The Spanish, what a move. They've slung onto the inside, timed it well. Fastest angle with New Zealand, but the Spanish have the tactical inside position. New Zealand are going to have to open the afterburners from here.
As they approach mark number 1, it is Spain out in front with New Zealand and Australia. This is the event final, the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
Oh, pole predictor looks pretty good from there. It's judged it well. Some move by Botín. He pulled it out the bag. They lead at mark 1. Australia at the back. Slingsby's going to be looking to make a move. And now, here we go. Time to settle the heart rates down. The Spanish now will be all about when do the boats behind manoeuvre? When can we make it to the gate with no more turns?
And the Spanish, currently the fastest boat on the course, almost 60 kilometers an hour there. On the reach, they had the highest average speed.
Once again, though, New Zealand done a lovely job with that little slingshot jibe, surprising the Spanish there. Spain have gone wide. They'll be enjoying the bit of space on the course. It's all about finding good wind now. We can see breeze moving down the course, but these boats go faster than the wind. So look slightly to the right of them for the wind they're going to sail into. Quite good news for Australia at the moment, but the Spanish still look fairly comfortable. Boat speed's very similar at the top of the mast, and it's going to be a couple more manoeuvres for New Zealand and Australia to get to the gate. It'll be interesting if Spain can get in there in one.
And there we go, the Spanish boat speed is building now. They are the fastest boat on the course, slightly more breeze, 22 kilometers an hour compared to 20 on Australia at the top of the screen.
The question is, though, can Diego Botín and the Spanish hold on to this lead? Two of the very best in the business, with Tom Slingsby and Peter Burling are in this race as well. This is a little longer than the races you saw just prior. This is a 7-leg race, Stevie, so does that change things, or is the Spanish team comfortable in holding them off for this long?
Well, it means you try and stay in the race a little bit more early on. I think the Spanish here are going to sail their own path. I think they're quite an easy opportunity to actually just turn in front of New Zealand and block their manoeuvre to the right turn. So I'm surprised they've given the Kiwis the leverage first, but they've had the first pick. They'll have been able to look for the wind, they'll have been able to make their choice, and now it kind of depends which way does the first wind shift goes. If the wind rotates towards the right of our screen, be good news for the Spanish team. If it rotates left, good news for New Zealand and Australia. 8 seconds is a big gain at gate one, though.
Well, the good news is we've got a reporter down on the water, Lisa Darman, and what are you seeing? What do you think for the conditions with this being a 7-leg race?
I think a 7-leg race and also more room on the race course means that there's a little bit more opportunity for manoeuvres. But as we were hearing, it is a lot lighter. The manoeuvres are way more costly. Right now, Spain, they're in really good pressure. I think that they do have the better shift, so it's in the right, which means that they're sailing slightly less distance. I think that they will cross New Zealand in this. Australia, though, they look like they've lost on New Zealand.
And there are the wind speeds, just as Lisa has predicted. The Spanish are in better breeze and a better shift there. As we heard in the interview with Nicole, she did say the right-hand side was where they were ending up, or wanted to end up, and they did it.
Well, they did, but have a look at that. Remember, it was an 8-second difference at gate 2. Already the black foils have, well, it's got to be down to 2 seconds at most there. And when the boats meet up again, the rules-wise, who's got the right-of-way? Well, it'll be New Zealand that have the right-of-way. So if it is close, it's going to be pressure on Spain. But as we say, it's an open racetrack. But all the teams are choosing to sail fairly freely. I think the wind's fairly average on the shift at the moment. Both look like they're moving up the course fairly similar amount. But New Zealand are sailing to the side where traditionally, or not traditionally, where today we've seen a little bit more wind on average.
And when we look at the modes that these teams are sailing, so far we're seeing the Spanish sailing wider angles, so further away from the marks, but at a faster speed. Meanwhile, the Kiwis, sticking true to their form this weekend, they're sailing at a slightly slower speed, but they are sailing less distance and more direct towards the mark.
Here, isn't it? Look at that good angle of the wind for Spain at the moment. They're sailing nicely up the ladder lines, but right away with New Zealand in the background, they get a little high. Ooh, good catch. 100% foil flight time all round. Australia flying the highest at the moment, but New Zealand have the right of way. The Spanish are going to have to think about this. Do they turn in front of Spain? I think you try and turn in front of New Zealand if you can, but the Kiwis are going to be faster. Tight moment here. Spain owns the mark. The black foils have got the most speed at the moment. Spain holds on. Great tactical sailing by Botín. Expect an attack on this downwind from the black foils.
Diego Botín and the Spanish get to that yellow circle first. They take the priority. It slows down the Kiwis. And so now it is Spain who got the whole shot at mark number 1. They are back into first place. Burling now in second place. And this is going to be a great and very important leg, Stevie and Emily, as they make their way down course.
And we saw some expert boat handling there by the Spanish team. We saw as they turned that they kept both boards in the water for an extended period of time. And this is because it was crucial in that maneuver to stay up on the foils at all costs. So it is a little bit slower when you put both foils in the water for a long time, more drag, but it ensures you stay up on the foils and can get up to speed quickly.
Stevie, this position, though, are the black foils getting the disturbed air from Spain?
No, the black foils would be trying to put the disturbed air onto Spain, but I think the Spanish actually sailed an angle a little bit away from the wind to tactically position for this move. They've positioned themselves well. They took a little loss to have a long-term gain. They will now be looking to put disturbed air down onto the New Zealand team, and that's going to be good down the rest of the leg.
And this on the bottom left is a little summary from that previous leg. So you can see what I was talking about with the Spanish sailing slightly more distant than the Kiwis. Well, the Kiwis are opting for that 2.0
It's really tight down here. There will be a little bit of disturbed air going onto the New Zealand boat, but not a lot. The Spanish have positioned really well. Fantastic tactical sailing. Took a little loss at the top for control, but expect the Kiwi. Here we go. Black foils are going to split away, and I think the right turn has worked well for them so far today. Both boats turned the mark, and it looks to me like what was 8 seconds is going to be 0 seconds. Absolutely neck and neck at that bottom mark there. 1 second in it, there's nothing in it. Who finds the most wind? Spain sailing to breeze, but what have New Zealand found on this side of the course?
And you heard Diego Botín say as they went around the gate, good pressure here, so he's looking to make some changes and hopefully pick up some distance.
And there's the live speeds, both wind speed and boat speed. The Spanish are sailing so quick at the moment, 50 kilometers an hour. They're only dropping now because they have turned.
Here we go. Pretty decisive moment in the race here. It looks like a nice choice early on the leg for the Spanish. Burling won't like what he sees at the moment, but if the wind rotates towards the left of the course, that will be good news for the black foils. Here we go. How well do they stick this maneuver?
Look at that choreography. Burling comes across there and just keeps it up.
I think that was a pretty good maneuver. The wind looked a little bit light, but right now that is a gain to the Spanish. Big gain. Huge move there. 100-meter lead there in the blink of an eye. Opportunity here for the Spanish to lock things down. They're far enough ahead to turn the boat directly in front of New Zealand and get themselves going the same way. I'll be surprised if the Spanish continue and give a separation to New Zealand now.
And if you're just joining us, this is the event final at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix. These are the 3 teams with the most points. It is Spain out in front, New Zealand in second, Australia in third. They're going to go to the top of the course, come back down the course, and then a quick left-hander to the finish line. And in a matter of minutes, we're going to find out who's going to claim the title.
So the Spanish had a 100-meter lead there. It is dropping rapidly now down to almost only 60 meters of lead as they came across that bottom side of the course, giving a little more advantage to the Kiwis. It'll be interesting to see what happens after this next turn.
Stevie, if I'm Spain and I've seen what the black foils have done all weekend long, I want a pretty sizable lead as I get around this next gate.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised they kind of let that gap open up. If the Spanish can make it to this gate with no more maneuvers, I think that could be a good move there. But they're going to let separation form again with the black foils. It looks like the Spanish are setting up, so they're going to try and block New Zealand. They've got a big enough lead. I think, yeah, they look comfy. They look calm. There you go. No rush. Good comms from Florian Trittel. And yeah, I think the black foils, they're fast, but they're making some little mistakes. And here you go. They're trying to split away from the fleet. Huge amount of heel. Not a great maneuver by the black foils.
Look at the Kiwis.
They're trying to force things.
3, 2, 1.
So was that a case of the Kiwis see more pressure on that side of the course, or they just wanted to split the course and get away from the Spanish?
Last roll of the dice, I'd say that was, Todd, because they did not do a great maneuver. That was a last-minute decision. It's left the Aussies back in. They will have a chance on this downwind leg. At least they're on separate sides, but this is big advantage Spain right now.
To me, that final maneuver by Spain could have been the race-winning moment, forcing the Kiwis to turn away and come off the foils.
And don't look now, but Tom Slingsby back in the mix. He would love to pick up another position and somehow pass Peter Burling and the Kiwis. Remember, nothing will change in the overall, despite the fact that these 3 teams are battling in the event final, because this is 1, 2, and 3. Remember, it's 10 points to the winner, 9 for second, 8 for third. And with New Zealand with a 9-point lead on Australia, they will not lose the overall, but Australia would love to pick up yet another point.
Yeah, I think at the moment the Spanish crew are sailing back into good wind here, right of ways with New Zealand, but that's too big a lead here. Botín and Trittel have absolutely nailed this one. They've put a brilliant race together after a perfect start. Advantage Spain at the moment if they can make it with no more manoeuvres. It looks good, like at the moment they look like they're aiming for that mark, and they're comfy on New Zealand.
Spain all dressed up and looking for suitors as they are looking for new sponsorships, and what a way to put this on your CV.
Pressure here, looks good.
Very nice indeed as Diego Botín comes around this last mark. Winners in Los Angeles, and it is Spain who gets into the final here in Bermuda by a tiebreaker, and give it up for the Spanish. They will claim the victory here in Bermuda.
Oh, vamos the Gallas.
Amazing moment for this Spanish team, stealing the win from the Australians and the New Zealanders.
What a moment. I mean, what an arrival in SailGP, really, to beat the 2 top teams by a long way. It's a great result again for the black foils. Australia, well, they'll be happy to get the wheels back on the bus, but for Spain, what an incredible result, and well done to that crew, because they nailed the start when the pressure was on.
One of the youngest teams in SailGP, and they come up with yet another victory. They back up Los Angeles with a big win here in Bermuda.
Very interesting here, Stevie. Normally, with 2 minutes to go, this start box is absolutely packed with all the action. It feels like the drivers and the tacticians on board have entered the start box late and are not showing their hands to the other crews.
No, I mean, it was quite interesting. Ben Ainsley sounded a little bit, you know, Phil Robertson's aggressive. He's a fighter. He doesn't want to be too near him for me, which is pretty unusual to hear from Ben Ainsley. But I think in this steady, perfect sailing conditions, what they really want is a fast speed race.
And what I find interesting as we get ready to hit the 30-second mark, gentlemen, is all of these drivers, Phil Robertson, Ben Ainsley, and Tom Slingsby, have all won races here in the first 5 that we've sailed so far. Of course, Great Britain winning races 1 and 3, Canada winning race 2, and race 5, it was Australia.
Well, here we go, and first move is Canada. They turn the boat down aggressively towards Australia. The man with the plan on board Australia has control of the start at the moment, but how's the timing? Looking late on Great Britain, really aggressive from the Canadian crew at the moment. It's going to be really, really tight as we come into the start line now. 2 seconds. Timing looks good from Australia. Perfect start from Australia. The Canadians are going to have to try and hang on the inside, and what has the British crew got up to here? Really late at the start. They've got a job on from here.
Look at the speeds, over 70 kilometers an hour as they approach mark number 1. This is the final race. Who will take home the title here in Bermuda? Canada, Australia, or Great Britain?
It's going to come down to, that's the voice.
Rolling down. When I heard him, yeah, rolling down.
Oh, that was the voice there of Kyle Langford saying we're clear, let's roll down and hurt him, and they've just sailed across them, giving them dirty wind, and look at that flight height. Well, Billy Gooderham, he's certainly turned up to play.
So what Ainsley's got to think about here is splitting away from the 2 other boats. I'd expect an early jibe from Ainsley and let Canada and Australia mess around with each other. And there, the British jibe, and they go out to the far-hand side of the course.
Here we go. He's just trying to find some space and some other wind on the side of the course. If he follows, he'll only sail in the turbulent wind of the boats in front, so he's looking for advantage on the other side. Perfect jibes by all 3 boats, and just 44 metres in it as we're on board Australia.
Just can't get too slow. He's on the inside. Got to keep her a little fast.
Voice to Tom Slingsby asking them to keep it fast.
I think we've got to go left turn. Actually, if they all go right, yeah, we're going to go right.
Great to hear the plans there. Tom Slingsby just constantly talking about his plans, adapting all the time. Looks like one more manoeuvre from all the crews. Slingsby desperate to be going the same way as all the other boats. That gives them less chance of leapfrogging ahead of them.
Running at the mark. Running at 5, all right. Setting up in 3.
We're on board Australia here, listening to the Australian crew, bringing them upwind at gate number 2 here, and all the other boats look set to follow. This is great news for Slingsby and Australia, but again, no, it's Ainsley. He turns away, looks to split. He's hoping to find more wind on the other side of the course, but the Australians are going really fast.
And look how fast Australia is, more than 2 kilometers faster than Canada, who follows them. And Freddie, to your point, Great Britain looking to be happy to get out of phase with the other 2 boats.
Yeah, they've got to look to go and sail in a different patch of water. They really got to hope that Australia and Canada focus on each other so much they don't sail their boats at 100%. They've got to sail in a different patch of water, hope to pick up more wind speed, hope to get a bit of a wind shift and boost them that 100 metres they need to get back into this race.
And Slingsby immediately with the maneuver there, trying to send the dirty air Canada's way. They have the lead, the 2-time defending champions, looking to start off season 3 with a bang. Tom Slingsby here, hoping to take this victory here and take the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
And there is a smidge more wind for the British team over on that far side of the course, but maybe not enough to make the dent into the leaders right now.
Well, the ladder lines currently show a 200-metre advantage over from Australia to Great Britain. The Canadians still staying close, just 88 metres behind the Australian crew. We're halfway up this second beat, and I think it's going to be interesting to Nathan Outridge is positioned more upwind of us. I wonder if Nathan can see any more wind coming down, any opportunity for these chasing boats to be able to catch up out there.
The advantage right now coming up on 100 metres.
Just let me know if they go 4 down, Tash. Go 4 down. Okay.
Nathan, we can see the boat setting up. Tom Slingsby's really in a match race mood, tacking every time Canada tacks, trying to block their wind. But can you see any opportunities as we get to the top of this upwind leg?
Yeah, Stevie, looking from the shore, the left still seems to be stronger with, you know, the breeze on the left does look a bit stronger, but at water level, it's very obvious to see once all the fleet's gone and we're just focusing on 2 boats at the moment that Jason Waterhouse is flying the boat higher. They've got more windward heel on the Australian boat. They're flying it higher, and I think they're in a low mode. They're winning this race, and Tom's just giving Phil absolutely no chances right now to get back into it. Canada's going to need a mistake from Australia and a manoeuvre to get back into this one.
And you can see that point that Nathan made there, our top left of picture, that the Australian boat is flying slightly to 10 centimetres higher out of the water than the other 2 boats. More height out of the water means more speed. Interesting thing here is the British have rejoined onto the back of this 2-boat match race.
So, Stevie, if Australia goes on to win this race and win the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix, does Jason Waterhouse get the MVP award?
Certainly should. For me, I think the flight control is absolutely crucial. But now, bottom left here, we see the true wind speeds. There's really not a lot of difference in the winds between the 2 boats, just 1 kilometre an hour. There's not a lot of opportunity for the boats behind.
Stevie, right now, if you're Slingsby in the lead, are you defending the Brits or are you defending the Canadians?
I'm far enough ahead that I'm going to keep it simple. I can set up with an easy move here and then match behind.
As they make their way through gate number 5, which is branded near in recognition of SailGP's new global partner, that blockchain technology. Stevie, you're up on all that stuff. This is high-tech stuff coming to SailGP.
This is high-tech stuff, and of course there's high-tech sailing boats out there on the water right now, and that's a big lead for Australia. They've done some real damage up on this upwind leg. 19 seconds. They were just 4 seconds ahead at gate 2. At gate 3, it's out to 19 seconds. Pure boat speed there, and the Great British crew managing to stay out of phase, constantly sailing on the opposite side of the course to the boats ahead. They're hoping to find more wind. If they can do that, they'll give themselves a chance, but at the moment I'm seeing no mistakes, and Ainsley, well, is that a disgruntled look on him?
He is the defending champion from this event last year, but right now they are certainly just trying to get themselves into second place as they've drawn within 30 meters of the Canadians.
Interesting thing is here, the British are going very fast around the course, but because they've been trying to sail on opposite parts of the race course, they've sailed extra distance. So they haven't sailed the perfect tactical race for obvious reasons, but they are going fast.
100% fly time across the board, so perfection on those maneuvers, keeping both hulls out of the water. But again, to Freddie's point, Australia now 300 meters clear. Tom Slingsby is absolutely putting on a clinic. Remember, he is the 2-time defending champion at SailGP, and what a way to start off this 2022 campaign.
We're going to dive left turn. Hey, stand by. Keep the build on. Put down.
It's the voice of Tom Slingsby talking tactics. He's talking of one more manoeuvre, looking for a left turn. In the background, the battle for second is getting tight. It looks to me at the moment as though the battle for first is all well and done. Ainsley on board Great Britain needs to be sure to be ahead. It's a tight cross. He doesn't have the right of way, but he's through. Looks to me like Tom Slingsby's going left turn, and he'll be hoping the other boats follow him.
All the chatter on board Australia. We spoke with Tom Slingsby at the start of this regatta. Remember, he said, just get me to the final. I like my chances in a 3-boat race.
Oh, big grunt from Ben Ainsley there. They splashed the boat in underwater there. Technical manoeuvre from the Canadians. They're trying to find some space now in third place. Brilliant job by this new Canadian team, but I think it's going to be hard for them from here. They're back now. They've lost 100 metres on Great Britain, and now Australia and Slingsby. Well, he sails all the way to boundary, and look at that simultaneous tack with the Great British crew. Looks like the Australians have changed their focus. They're now defending Great Britain.
A little bit softer this beat, guys.
So he's calling for a little bit softer this beat. Remember, it's down and back, and then the blast to the finish line, and the race is over.
And as the Canadians voiced the softer this beat, guys, which was off board Carl Langford, as he said that, his wing shape changed dramatically looking at the data, and he changed the power setup in the huge wing sail and got the boat ripping in what looks to be a little bit softer breeze.
It'd probably be interesting to get out on the water and find out if Nathan's seeing that bit more wind on the course. It's going to make a change of situation out there, but at the moment, looks very tight. Nath, are we going to see any big changes before the end of this race, mate?
Well, from where I'm looking, it looks like GBR are catching up a lot, and I've been looking closely at the wings. I don't often get a chance to see these boats sailing up and close, and I've got the data out here on my phone as well. And on that downwind, Ian Jensen, the wing trimmer on GBR, was running a lot more twists than the other two boats. The boat was ripping downwind, and it seems like they've been able to make some big gains in this race by just changing the setup of the power control on the wing, getting the boat going faster. And Tom now is keeping a really close cover on GBR, but I think that was why they made the big gain, was just Ian Jensen making a small change on the wing, and GBR are back in this race.
Well, these wing trimmers are a little bit like aeroplane pilots, but we see here on the screen, look at that, now just 100 meters separating all three boats. This race is far from over. I love the position Slingsby's put himself in. All the boats on the same tack, all heading in the same direction. That's great news, but look at it. It's perfection on all the teams at the moment. They're really sailing these boats to the limit. It's going to come down to the details of these final more manoeuvres as they arrive at this top ley line. One more tack to go before the final upwind gate.
You couldn't ask for much more as we come up on leg number 6 of 7. Then it'll be to the top of the course and then the sprint to the finish line. These are the F50s, the world's best sailors doing battle here at the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix presented by Hamilton Princess.
Just setting up for a bear away, turning away from the wind. Slingsby has to change his rudder setting. These are like Formula 1 drivers. It's tight. Is there an overlap there with Canada and Great Britain? Doesn't look like it. They're going to follow each other around. Ainsley in second, tied together by a piece of string with the Canadian crew, but they're 200 metres behind the two-time SailGP champion, Slingsby in Australia. And there you go. That was Ainsley. We're on a match with Canada. Ainsley's given up on winning this event. He's focused now on securing second.
And we know that season points overall are massive as we arrive to our 11th event in San Fran at the end of the season.
Here we go, simultaneous jibes. Canada turn in the background, and with Great Britain we're going to go with, but we're back with the leaders now. Just 700 or 800 metres to go until this final gate, and there's no mistakes coming from this Australian crew so far.
You look at the resume for Australia, guys, over the last 2 days, and it hasn't been overly stellar. It's been consistently solid. On race day number 1, they went 4, 5, and 3. So it's not super impressive. Then the first race today, they finished in 4th, but it's that 5th race where they get the win, and the momentum carrying them into this final, they just look like they picked off right where they left in San Francisco.
What do we always say about the Australians? They're fast and they stay out of trouble.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they've done here in Bermuda.
It's really the consistency. I think it's a bit of maturity from Tom Slingsby as well, to stay patient even when he is in those fights and just keep the results coming, chip away, and he's just done a great job of that. And then when you've got the likes of Waterhouse, Langford, Newton and Fowler in front of you, there's just not mistakes happening.
So the Australians won 5 from 8 events last year. They're going to go on and win here in Bermuda. Are we making that 6 from 9? That is pretty impressive.
The speed still over 60 kilometers an hour for the Australians as they bring it home. A great recovery by Sir Ben Ainsley as they were last in 3rd. They move up to 2nd place for the valuable points, and Canada has dropped back to 3rd place. But as we come to the finish line, the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix presented by Hamilton Princess goes the way of the 2-time defending champions. Australia brings it home. Great Britain will claim 2nd place, and Canada, a great performance, guys. Remember, this is a brand new team, and on the first event, they get themselves into the great final. And the debriefing already underway on board.